Would I be the asshole if I ask my husband to stop cooking breakfast? My 31F, husband 34M, is a creature of habit and has made himself the same breakfast every single morning for the 10 years that we have been together. A tofu scramble with various veggies made on the cast iron skillet. For years I would barely notice his cooking in the morning. However, a couple years ago, he started getting distracted while cooking and would walk out of the room to sit down at his computer and start thinking about work for the day. He will claim that the stove is off or on super low, but the result is that almost every single morning the food smells like burnt oil and just awful. I find the smell to be revolting and on a few occasions have had coughing fits from smoke in the air. He usually disagrees and says that there isn't any smoke in the air. At present, a couple of factors complicate this even more. We recently moved into a very old house with terrible ventilation, and the fan for the stove just recirculates air around the kitchen. I am also pregnant and struggling with morning sickness and food aversions, and the smell of his nasty burnt breakfast makes me feel so sick and irritated. I try to stay calm when thinking and talking about it, but internally there is a hormone-fueled rage towards his breakfast. I hate it so much. I despise it. I've tried talking to him about it a couple times, and he says he will be more careful. He doesn't seem to really understand how irritating the smells are to me. This morning I was in a WFH meeting in my office, when he once again left his food unattended on the stove. The smoke filled my office, and I was struggling not to gag and cough. At this point I want to demand that he either 1, stop cooking breakfast entirely, or 2, get a blacktop and cook outside so that I don't have to smell it. Why I think I'm not the asshole? He has demonstrated unsafe practices with cooking in the morning, and his burnt food makes my morning sickness worse. Why I might be the asshole? This breakfast has been his daily routine since before we met. It's a ritual at this point. He also doesn't see things the way I do, says that his food isn't burnt, and that he doesn't really leave it unattended, and that I am being sensitive. A simple, honey, you accidentally left the stove on, as you vomit into his lap, or his laptop. Your choice might go a long way to solve the problem. Not the asshole because he shouldn't be walking off and leaving things to burn. It really isn't that long of a process. He should be able to stand by his food while he's cooking it until it's done. He hasn't been doing this for 10 years. Wandering off and leaving food to burn on the stove is a new development. Since your house has poor ventilation, a couple of well-placed smoke detectors might help. I imagine the shrieking from that will cure him of his habit before too long. And apart from the smell, what he is doing is stupid and outright dangerous. He could set your house on fire. When the baby dies of smoke inhalation, is he going to shrug his shoulders and claim there wasn't any smoke? Not the asshole. Tell him that he needs to stay by what he is cooking, and that if he walks away you will turn off the stove and throw the food out. And then follow through. Hey OP question, can he even smell or taste? Because if he genuinely doesn't smell it's burnt or taste that it's burnt, you may have a bit of a problem on your hands and should get him checked. Eyes. Not the asshole. My mom had some pretty intense food aversions during pregnancy, and my dad happily gave up every single one of them without issue. It's not a big ask to stop making fragrant foods on high heat in the morning while you are pregnant. He clearly needs to get his routine figured out so that it doesn't cause a fire. Am I the asshole for not making my twin girls sit together at lunch because I find it unfair to one of them? Edit. Sarah is in clubs and already talks to a counselor who basically gave the same advice of put herself out there. The friend group fell apart because of boy drama. Edit 2. People keep asking why she doesn't want Sarah to join. The answer is she doesn't want to be the twin package anymore. She wants her own friend. She wants to be independent. I can't force them to sit together because that would make resentment. I can give a conversation about empathy, which I will do, but it will not be a guilt trip because she is allowed to say no to sitting with someone. Maybe sit with her once, and while at lunch would be good. Not all siblings are best friends, and people treating them as a package is the reason they are not close to begin with. This is about my 2 girls, twins, that are in freshman year of high school. I will call them Sarah and Mia. During elementary school they were basically always together. Middle school Mia started to feel resentment about always being with Sarah, so the school tried to split them up as much as possible. This was hard because the classes were not big. I made it a point to have activities that were just their own. Mia got really into sport and Sarah into theater. This seemed to help, and we did more separating. They got their own birthday parties, and not a shared one, for example. Mia really thrived with this, but Sarah did not. It has been a lot harder for Sarah to be her own person. Mia was always the dominant twin when they were together. High school was a big change, and for the first time they were completely separate, no shared classes. Sarah has been having difficulties, and it got worse this past month. The friend group she was hanging out with broke up, and she has been sitting alone at lunch. Sarah asked Mia to sit together with her friend group at lunch, and Mia told her no. This resulted in a big fight between the two. Mia's point was these were her friends, and Sarah need to learn to make her own, and basically not piggyback off Mia. Sarah's point was they were twins, and she is sad sitting alone. I told Sarah very gently that Mia doesn't have to sit with her at lunch, and encouraged her to keep trying to make friends, and basically put herself back out there. Sarah has been crying since, and my ex is giving me an earful. I don't know if I made the right call on this. Nah. I'm a twin, M/F, and it's very easy to get lumped in with your sibling and not have your own identity beyond twinning. It is 100% the right call to allow Mia to establish independence and encourage it in Sarah. But I do also think there is something to be said in fostering some kindness and empathy between siblings when they're struggling, especially at an age that's notoriously difficult. Mia doesn't have to let Sarah sit with her at lunch, but she probably could have gone and sat with Sarah to help make that day a bit easier. I mean, making friends is hard, and it takes time. Sarah went through a difficult thing. She had a friend group blow up, and is now feeling isolated and alone. You can't encourage compassion and support in your other daughter while her sister finds her feet again. There are lessons for both girls here, and I think Thea's whole move was not helping both of your children. I, 28F, have a twin sister. She was the dominant personality. I was always quieter. When we were in high school, she hated being a twin and having to be around me. It was hard for me because I loved being a twin. We had no classes the same. We didn't share a friend group until way later in life, but you can bet when either of us was alone or down, we would always be there for the other. It's okay to want to be different people, but it's so important to remember to be there for people when they need help. My twin even says now that we're older she wished she had been kinder and nicer to me back then. I mean, not the asshole for not forcing Mia to hang out with Sarah at lunch. That's just a bad idea in general. But I'm also wondering if the whole separation of twins hasn't gone into the opposite extreme. They are two separate independent people, and I applaud you for making an effort to establish this and deliberately resist the twinning nonsense. But they're still siblings who should be friendly with each other and help each other out. Friendly, not friends. What's going on there? I would think it was a problem with her empathy/compassion if she said that to anyone asking to sit with them at lunch, let alone her own sister. Careful you're not raising a bully. Info, did her friend group break up, or did they kick her out? I would think if it was the former she could sit with one or two of her friends somewhere. If she got kicked out of her friend's circle, I'd get her into therapy. That can really wreck a kid. It might also indicate she struggles to socialize. It might just be that her friends were jerks. Ada, for leaving the movies after being lied to? I was enjoying a nice night out with my friends, or so I thought. It started out with 5 of us going to this event in our town. While we were there, one of my friends' boyfriend joins us halfway through the event. We were all having a good time, and had later plans to go and watch this new movie in the theater. We left the event, and decided to go get dinner at a restaurant. While we were there, I noticed that my friend's boyfriend was texting someone on his phone and smiling, and my friend then looked at his phone and got a bit visibly upset. Remember this, because this is important. Dinner ended, and we all made our way to the movies, where we all purchased our tickets. We all picked our seats and made it into the theater. I went to go sit in the seat that I paid for when one of my friends says, "Oh, this seat is for someone else." I then asked who, and got no reply. I then started to enter a flow state where I pieced it all together. I then asked, "Is this seat for so and so? We will call so and so Sally." Sally is somebody that I was really good friends with, until we got into a relationship that ended on iffy terms. However, we decided to remain friends. Nothing bad happened, it was just not working out. However, a week prior to this whole movie fiasco, she had said that hanging out with me would be too much. Everybody knew this BTW. Flash forward to now, where my friend's response was, "Yeah." I then asked why they would invite her, and I got no response. I then turned to my roommate and asked the same question. She said that she didn't know until 5 minutes ago that Sally would be there, and that she had no part in it. Turns out my friend's boyfriend had invited Sally, but left out the part that I was there. That's who he was texting during dinner, BTW. Nobody was even looking me in the eyes, nonetheless answering my questions. I sat down and thought for a second. I knew that Sally probably didn't know I was going to be there, and that this would be an awkward interaction for the both of us, and neither of us would be able to enjoy the movie. I was also really pressed that my friends would pull one over on me like this. I thought that what they did was a bit selfish and inconsiderate to both Sally and I's feelings. I was very frustrated and got up and left. My friends asked where I was going, and I said bathroom. I went to the bathroom and called my best friend, who agreed that what they did was messed up, and they came to pick me up. Nobody had texted or called asking where I went or if I was okay. In the end, I guess they got to hang out with the friend that they actually wanted to. I also learned that afterwards they were all saying that I was being dramatic and making a big deal of nothing, but they not only blindsided me but Sally Oswell. I'm not expecting anyone to apologize, but also no one has apologized. The whole thing just seemed super fake and disrespectful. So Ada for leaving the movie? Not the asshole. Go LC with the ones that knew about this deception, at least until they apologize. I then started to enter a flow state where I pieced it all together. Just an FYI, this is called thinking. Not the asshole that was messed up of them, but also why did the friend's boyfriend invite her? Were the other people in on it too? This is bizarre. I wonder if Sally is hoping for a second chance with you, and the friends are trying to facilitate it? Not the asshole. Time for you to find new friends. Update me. I get that it's your ex, but you said that the breakup wasn't bad. She had said she didn't want to hang out with you, but you didn't mention feeling the same. Also, it's a movie. It's a big dark room. You're not going to be talking to her. You wouldn't have even seen her until after. Leaving was unnecessary, yes to being dramatic, and getting upset after makes it worse. They didn't do anything to you. The only person who should be upset is Sally, but you don't talk so you don't know how she feels. You are the asshole mainly to yourself. You could have stayed with your friends. You didn't have to go. But sounds like a setup to get you and Sally close again. And when it didn't work because you left, everyone is just going to ignore it because their plan didn't work and they are obviously stupid to try and pull this. Find better friends, because these little idiots are not it. Am I the asshole for accusing a friend of purposefully trying to upstage every bride, including me? Hi all. Genuinely curious if I am in the wrong here and should have kept my mouth shut. Some context. My ex, best friend from high school, let's call her Sally, currently 39F, has always been a bit of a show-off. She's a beautiful woman who pursued a musical theater career and is very talented, so I get it to some extent. She gets work from being noticeable. However, she did earn some raised brows at my wedding several years ago. As a struggling actress, she warned me in advance that she would not be able to afford a gift. I was fine with that, as many friends were in the same boat, and I was happy to accept gifts in the form of help with the prep or anything handmade to remember the day by. Many helped me with decorations. One made adorable, in my opinion, cake toppers. Another offered free photography, etc. It was quite a small DIY wedding, as we were young and had a tight budget. Not only did Sally not offer to help nor gift anything, not even a card with a note, but she showed up at my small, country, backyard wedding at my mom's house, as if she were attending the Oscars. I'm talking floor-length, bedazzled dress, giant faux diamond jewelry, all brand new. Full face of professional makeup and bright red hair styled in a huge, puffed faux hawk. She even bragged about how her look had cost her $500 plus, days of planning and hours of work. By comparison, I was in a short, raw silk dress off Etsy. My vintage shoes were graffiti, decorated by an artist friend, and my bouquet made of music sheets and burlap. Very country casual, which Sally was very much aware of. Anyway, my bridesmaids, family and I were a bit WTF back then, but let it go and enjoyed the day. For several reasons, Sally and I are no longer close. Fast forward to recently. We're coming up to another mutual friend's wedding where I am a bridesmaid, and again she's pulling the I have no money for a gift card. However, she also stated that she cannot attend any bachelorette/wedding shower events because she needs to get a bunch of spa treatments and shopping for her wedding look. Though it's been years since my wedding, I kinda snapped when Sally said this and took her aside. I reminded her that she's not the bride and her focus should be on being a good friend via actually attending these free events and or using some of that primping money on a gift for the new couple. We're almost 40 now and her prioritizing looking hot has long since become sad. I don't want her pulling the same crap she did at my wedding and try to literally outshine our friend on her big day. Of course, I was accused of being jealous. But Sally also showed a more human side in admitting that dressing up is a passion of hers, and these big friend events, which often include her ex-boyfriend, who is now married and has a baby with his incredibly beautiful new wife, are hard for her. I immediately felt bad. So dear internet, am I the asshole for bringing this up? Well, I hope she knows she isn't revenge dressing for her ex. She's making him glad he dodged a bullet every time she acts this way. Not the asshole. It is sad that at 40 she needed to be told this. Usually people can figure it out by that age. Not the asshole. No, dressing up is not a passion, being the center of attention is her passion. Not the asshole. This is crappy behavior as well as absolutely selfish. Spending $900 on your outfit for another person's wedding, but being too cheap to even get them a card or a present is something just no. You told her the truth. I would also warn this friend just in case, so that they won't be surprised at their wedding by that. Not the asshole. She's a classic theater kid who never had her big break, dolling herself up in an attempt to make her ex's wife jealous. I'm gonna say not the asshole. I think she needed to hear it. Boo-hoo on it being a mask of her actually feeling insecure. You told her the truth. Your friend's wedding day is not about you. Wear a dress you already have, do your own makeup, show up with a modest gift, and celebrate your friend's special event. ETA, your wedding, and how your other friends participated sounds lovely. She's a narcissist, that's how they function. She got called out for it, spun it around on you with some sob story, now you feel bad. If she struggled with her ex so much she wouldn't go. She'd rather be the darling of the ball at any cost. Narcissist.